So this is the second part of the video. So we were about the opposition between the pronoun they and the pronoun our. So we said they represent the Republic in the government, and our represents the idea of the community and the Native Americans in general. So this creates a very strong and very strong opposition between these two sides, creating a gap between the two worlds. And here he wants, so Frank Waln wants to insist and to highlight this discrepancy which exists between, which exists between the two worlds because of a very deep-rooted misunderstanding, so which seems to be impossible to bridge. So if we go back to the question 3. So we said that he's accusing the media, he's accusing the Republican of ignoring the presence of the Native Americans, and he's also accusing the government of something very simple. So this idea of polluting the planet, and by polluting the planet, he's accusing them, and Trump in particular, of murdering the culture and murdering the Native Americans. So because of the construction of the pipeline. So, and finally, you've got a reference in the chorus of that oil is mud, my mother is clean. So opposition between the Native Americans' conception of the land and the government or the society, materialist society's conception of the land. So here, that oil is mud. The reference to mud can also refer to this idea of corruption and the fact that politicians are corrupted by money. And he wants here to emphasize the fact that the government and corporation are thinking of their business interest more than of the health of the people. So this idea of greediness and corruption by money. So this is it for question 3. So question 3 and 4. And we're now moving to question 4. So back to the title, All for Blood. So as you saw, All for Blood can refer to a slogan which was used during, which is used in wars by protesters. When this war is fought because of economic interest and because of the presence of abundant oil in the country that they're fighting against. So here he reverses the original slogan is no blood for oil. So here he's reversing because it's a positive and affirmative statement, and there's no emphasis on no. So here he's positioning himself as a victim because oil is shedding blood, and more specifically shedding the Native Americans' blood. So he's really accusing the government of their greediness. It's a really direct accusation in a way that they are using their money to they are ready to make people die and to murder people to make more profit. Right. So now question 6. So the reference to red, all red, everything, and the reference to red also in the chorus, so a notion which is repeated, everything is red, and we can see that red rhymes with dead. So red, first thing, red is often the word that we use to refer to Native American skin. So it was often said that they were often called red skin or the red nation. There's also another reference, it's the word redneck, which was used as a derogatory and racist term to insult white people from the south, because they were considered as unsophisticated, rural, and uneducated. And by extension, this word is used for different groups of people, and is always used as a derogatory and racist term. So here it can also mention the fact that Native Americans are still facing issues of racism today in modern USA. And finally, red is the reference to blood, to murder, to killing. And so, as we said, the fact that the government is killing the earth, and by killing the earth is killing the culture and the Native Americans themselves. Then, question 7 about the Lakota philosophy here. So the Lakota philosophy is a philosophy or a lifestyle that was taught to the singer by his ancestors. So my ancestors studied numbers and astrology, and we've got another reference here. Words of my ancestors. So here the singer wants to show that he doesn't consider himself as an activist, as we could have thought and as we can say when we talk about him, but he just wants to be considered as a Lakota, as a member of his community, because he's acting as he was taught by his ancestors, by his family, by his culture. And here is insisting on the fact that the philosophy or lifestyle of Native American is based on this idea of solidarity, collectiveness, and responsibility. So here he feels responsible for his people, and by being responsible, he thinks that it is his duty to fight anything that can endanger the life of his people, it can endanger the health of his people, and the culture of his people. Right. So here it comes to this idea of how they consider the land, the soil, and how people or the other people consider the land. Here it says, "To my home and my ancestor I am loyal." So there are two opposite conceptions here. So the Western vision of the land. So it's an economic vision and definition of the land, because they see the land as a ground with all its physical and natural elements, which can be used as an economic asset for the benefit of the people, of the nation, of the government, and of the people. Whereas the Indian perspective on the land is that the earth, and he calls it the Mother Earth, is a part of the culture, of their culture. They have a very strong and spiritual connection to the land, and they feel responsible and grateful to what the land is giving them and providing them in order to survive. So that's why there is a very intense collective responsibility and duty towards the land. So if you undermine their land, or if you deprive them of their land, you undermine their culture, because the land is essential to the survival of Native American. So that's why he talks about Lakota philosophy and not about activism. It's really a lifestyle, a philosophy, and which is anchored and which is at the root of Native American conception of the land. So now this, I hope it's clear for the text. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed also the clip. So I ask you to draw a parallel between the first image and the last image of the clip. So in the first image, we can see, so Frank Waln um, uh, who is um, who is blindfolded by a flag, and actually the flag is the flag of his Rosebud of the Rosebud Reservation, and he has also his hands tied by the same flag, and which is preventing him from action and from being free. So this image of entrapment, of being prisoner, can refer to the line in the song where the government has got me trapped in this reservation, in this situation. So it means that being an Indian is being trapped, being imprisoned in cliché stereotypes, or physically physically trapped in the reservation. So in a way, he expresses the fact that Indian and Native American are still prisoner of their life and of their present. And so if we compare the last image, the first image to the last image, so in the last image there is a young girl. So a young girl can be a synonym of hope of the future generation, and the fact that the future generation needs to keep on fighting. So just before she has undone the flag, and she has freed him from the flag. So now he can see and he's free of his movement. And finally, she's handing him a mic, which can symbolize the fact of voicing a protest, voicing an anger, voicing an emotion to move on. So there is a very symbolic evolution between the first image and the last image. This is really a symbol of freedom and liberty. And so I think that the message that he wants to pass through the parallel between the two images is this idea that they need to get up, to stand up, and to voice their protest in order to be visible, in order to be understood, in order to be heard. And this is the only mean that they can that they have to finally become finally to be free and to be proud of being Native American today. And so last question about rap music and what it represents for him and for his community. So we have seen his influence and how he got inspired by rap. But for him, he thinks that rap is the best form of art to voice his emotion and his ideas, because it reminds him of the Native Americans' oral tradition, and that and this oral dimension is also at the roots of rap music. It's also a rap at its origin, so it was born in the 1970s. It was sung by Afro-American Latinos, and the root of rap is an art of protest. Afro-American and Latinos voiced their frustration, their anger, their violence, because of the different issues that they had to face, such as loneliness, exclusion, poverty, violence, crime, etc. And so today, rap, in his case, he considers rap as a music of protest, as an art of protest, because he is facing the same issues as Afro-American and Latinos faced in the 70s. And finally, rap is an international form of art. It's also a young form of art, so it can reach more people in a larger scale, and it can touch young people, so that the message that he's voicing can spread easier. So this is it. That was long, so I hope it's clear, and I really hope that you liked it. So you can listen to more of his songs, as I gave you a web link, right, to see other inspiration and other issues that he is denouncing. Right, so